Hi guys, welcome to lesson two, looking at sort of coastal processes and landforms. Last week we started looking at some of the process and landforms here, and we focused very much on some of the erosional features. You guys were having a look at in terms of the different types of erosion that take place along our coastlines. But you are also looking at some of the features that we find. For example, why do bays and headlands exist? You know, what causes this to happen? We also looked at some of the features along a headland. So things like a blowhole, a sea cave, an arch, stacks and stumps, all erosional features. You should have also had a look at in terms of what is a wave cut platform. Okay, again, and we'll talk a bit more and go through this during next lesson in detail about what these are. What we're going to look at today is looking at much more in terms of the depositional features. If I go back to the other slide quickly, we're going to be looking at things like spits and how sand and sediments and pebbles and rocks actually move along the coastline to form these features that we see. Okay, the first thing you're going to have a look at is there is a video on the left-hand side, and you are going to look at the process known as longshore drift. Okay, this is the transportation process or the movement of bedload of material by the sea along the coastline. Okay, so when you write this, it's important that you use some of this terminology that we have here. Prevailing wind, sediment, swash, backwash, longshore drift. Okay, and you're going to describe what this process is after you've watched this video. Okay, the diagram here will help you also. Okay, this kind of gives you a bit of an overview in terms of what longshore drift is. So if we took a pebble, for example, a pebble that sort of it's pushed up on the beach, okay, the gravity as the wave sort of recedes, gravity will cause that pebble to roll, you know, downhill. So it will roll at 90 degrees back into the ocean. Waves, though, aren't crashing on the shoreline, though, at 90 degrees. Waves will reach the shoreline based on the prevailing wind. Okay, so the prevailing wind then takes that pebble at an angle, pushes it up the beach again, okay, and then it falls back at 90 degrees. It pushes up again, falls back 90 degrees, and so on and so forth. Okay, and that's sort of the movement of sediment along a beach. Okay, so it's we've got what we call the backwash. Remember, the water coming back in, and the swash is the water going forward. Okay, those waves crashing onto the beach or onto the coastline. Okay, we're going to have a look at one of the key formations or the key landforms that are shaped through this longshore drift, and that is something known as a spit. Again, there is a video on the left-hand side. I want you then to answer these three questions that then relate to this formation. We'll go through these then next week, next lesson, to make sure that we all understand. Okay. I then want you to kind of have a look at this beach here. You know, what thing you might notice is that we've got very large rocks and sediments at this end, but very fine and getting finer sediments as the beach goes on. Okay, and we can see we've got large rocks, smaller pebbles, finer sand. But why is this? What is causing this? See if you can work that out and then put the answer in below. Your final task is we want you to practice doing drawing a diagram and some annotations again. Okay, we want to make sure that you can do these nice and neatly, and that you add the appropriate amount of labels and annotations. Remember, a label is one or two words. You could be naming a place, an action, or a process that might be taking place. An annotation is you describing or explaining what is happening. Okay, so it's not an extensive piece of writing, but we should be expecting anything between 10, 15, don't go over 20 words in regards to what an annotation is. Okay, you are going to draw, okay, and I say this, I want you hand drawing this, okay, you're going to hand draw a diagram that looks exactly like the one on the right hand side, okay, and in that diagram I want you to explain with annotations, with arrows, how Longshore Drift works and how this forms a spit. Okay, so you're going to draw that and we're going to annotate that. As I say, this is a key skill in geography. You will have to, in part of the exam, do some drawings, do some annotations. So this is why we are practicing this. Once you've completed that, take a photograph and add it to the final slide. Okay, guys, that's all for this week. If you just please make sure that you've completed this and all the erosional features ones by next lesson, because we will be going through this in a Zoom or a Google Meet at that time.